Oh, those songs took me back. I
Took me back as well.
I wonder how many times you've been asked to sing those over the years.
Or a zillion, I think. Probably.
You missed my favourite, which is,
What was that?
you know, you grow a little lovelier each day.
With fabulous pink cami. My first hit.
Yes, I wonder how many people realise you were the voice behind that commercial.
Yeah, well, I'll explain it, because the first one was a girl. That wasn't me.
Oh.
I did the second one. But it was a hit. It was my first hit, in actual fact. People used to say, who's the fella that does the pink cameo? Come on, oh, we're advertising. But, you know, you'll be a little lovelier each day.
So quite apart from the money, I mean, it helps your career to do something like that.
Don't say quite apart from the money, because the career didn't come into it. It was the money at the time.
Because, I mean, you came onto the scene, Matt, at a time when Elvis Presley was swinging his hips and Tommy Steele was cavorting on the stage.
Well,
and you had no gimmick. I mean, you only had the voice. I mean, let's face it, you are a stationary singer, isn't that? You just stand and sing.
Yeah, I've been called static as well. Yeah, static.
Sometimes you bend forward.
Sometimes I go like that. You know, Perry Como makes me look wide awake.
But I know you had a pretty tough time in those early days just to be noticed.
Yeah, well, I was very fortunate. As you say, I came in 1956 as Matt Monro. I'd been singing before that. We won't say what names because it's not important and they're so ridiculous anyway, I hate to repeat them. But I came in as Matt Monro in 1956, and that year Elvis had Heartbreak Hotel, Tommy still had Rock with the Caveman. There were two other young fellas that never made it, called Cliff Richard and Anton Faith. And so I came in and expecting everything to go whoom, you know, like that, and it didn't.
Was this a period, the much publicised period, when you were actually driving a bus in between singing engagements?
Well, it was just after, because I gave up driving. I was discovered by Winifred Atwell, God love her, and I joined Cyril Stapleton Show Band with the BBC, which you may or may not know, and I thought that was it, so I gave up driving a bus at around the Christmas time in '56. And I was out of work for 4 years. No, I wasn't out of work, because I did the Cyril's broadcasts. But I was what's known as, I was the Danny Street of 1956. I did all the Thank you, Norman. I did all the broadcasts. I was doing sort of Dave Shan broadcasts, the Sid Phillips broadcasts, the Cyril Stapleton Show Band show, and things like that. And doing the odd cabaret date. But I was very fortunate. Unlike so many people today, I had a wife that went to work. So I used to come home and while she went to work, I used to sit at home and look after the baby.
Was there ever a point? I mean, was there a point where? But was there a point where you suddenly thought, right, this is it, I have now arrived?
Yes, that was after Pink Camé. I thought that was it, because I was a star then. That was the whole act. I used to go on and do 3 or 4 non-memorable songs. Then I used to say, you'll be a little lovelier each day. And that was it, you know. But the thing when I became a star, twinkle at this moment, I was appearing in a place called Greasborough.
Where? I do not believe that it's a place called Greasborough.
There is
a highly unlikely story.
Called Greasborough, which is in Yorkshire. And I was working there for the week. And I'll never forget I don't know whether anybody here has ever been to Greasborough, but it's 4 houses and a coal mine. And of course they have a pub somewhere. I never did find the pub. But opening night, it was so, this is gospel true story. I had a Rolls Royce in those days. It was very flash, couldn't afford it. But I had a Rolls Royce, I was doing my first full week. So I had to buy a Rolls, you know. So I drove into Greasborough and I got a Rolls Royce full of mink coats and cigars and one thing and another. I drove into Greasborough about 10 o'clock. I think the show was 11. I drove in and I couldn't find my way to the club. And I stopped in Greasborough and it was black. You couldn't see a thing. There were no street lights or anything like that. I didn't know where the hell I was. The people with me were saying, where did we go from here? So I don't know. And we saw a lone figure walking down the street. And he came clumping along, and I said, excuse me, I put down the electric windows. Zzz, you know. Then I say, excuse me. And he said, aye. I said, could you tell me where Greasborough Social Club is? So he said, aye. He said, if you don't, excuse the accent. He said, if you turn round, he says, go down here to the first turning on right. He says, make a right there. He said, and go up rise. He said, when you get to the top of rise, he said, look down. He said, you'll see some massive lights. He says, that's Greensboro Social Club. But you're not getting Matt Monro's appearing here. And that happened to me, really. Like, you can get in.
Mind you, they say that that no performer's worth a salt until he's played those northern clubs, because they really do bring you down to earth up there.
Oh, God, do they ever. I must tell you, there's a paragraph in Di Dawes' book. I'm plugging Dinah Dawes now, but I bought it the other day and I read it. And it's to do with what we're talking about, and that is working men's clubs. I was working in Greensboro, and it was the real old working men's club, or the first of the modern type working men's clubs. And it was a long room with a stage which was about 6, 7 feet high from the floor. And you literally looked down on the people in the audience, you know. And halfway back down the room was a little alcove wherein sat the club secretary or concert sec. And he used to sit there with the lights, flicking them on and off, and microphones, and if he didn't like you, get off, you know, And I was halfway through something like Portrait of My Love or Walk Away or something. I was, you know, emoting, you know, doing the lots there, you know. And suddenly the lights went on. He said, pies have come! And there was a mass bloody exodus to the back of the... Everybody just got up and left. I thought, what's going on here? You know, they all came back eating pies and beans. And I said, there could never be a portrait of my pie.
Well, you did eventually forsake the delights of Greensboro for Los Angeles, because you went over there, sadly, after Nat King Cole died. They were looking for someone to fill his role, and they were grooming you for that.
That's right.
But you only lasted about a year and a half. Did something go wrong?
No, they wanted me to black up. No, it was... I went to live over there, and sadly Nat died, you know, and it was at the stage in those days where Capitol Records, which is who Nat and I both recorded for, but I recorded for the English counterpart of Capitol. And Nat died, and there was nobody on the Capitol label at that time that was doing that sort of material. I don't say could, but was doing Nat's sort of middle-of-the-road type material, as we call it. And I was asked to go to America to sort of take over, as it were, doing this sort of material. And I went, and unlike British companies, American companies are very fond of paying what they call advances. And they paid me a very substantial advance, which was hugely publicised in the paper press over here. Matt Monro signs $1 million contract. And I did. I signed $1 million contract.
So
over 7 years, if you lasted.
Anyhow, Matt, I mean, I'm delighted to say that you're still singing. And the song that you're going to do for us now, it's your latest, although it's not a new song.
No, it's about 2 years old. It's been recorded by Shirley Bassey.
And I hope it never comes true, incidentally.
Well, so do I. You know, it's an expose
but the title is
of show business.
If I
never sing
another song.
Another song.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Monro.